Hello everyone, my name's Zen, welcome back to ZenLOG, and today I want to show you guys the beginning of my journey into game dev. Also don't mind where I am, because I don't really know where I am either. So, if any of you guys have a map, that would be very helpful. So I'm gonna split this video into 3 segments. Why I want to get into game dev, what I've done before, and what my game's looking like right now. I'm gonna do my best to simplify each of these sections so this video isn't like insanely long or something, because honestly I could talk for like an hour probably on all this stuff. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. See, I wanted a construction hat. I don't own one. It's the closest thing I got. But let's get into it. So this part, why I wanted to get into game dev is probably the simplest and fastest section of the entire video. And it's basically just that once upon a time, I was super young and I loved watching and playing games. And gaming became like a hobby, pastime, whatever. And what would be better than making the things I played myself? Of course I've had like many ideas for dream games and all of that. But I'm just gonna be super honest, most of my dream games are not gonna be made. The first thing that I kinda made started many years ago. It actually wasn't even a game, it was just an idea. There was this journal and me and my cousin were just like drawing and scribbling stuff down, and we created a game idea called Elemental Ninjas. And I assume you guys can understand what a game called Elemental Ninjas is about. And no, it was not a stealth game. I didn't really make much for the game, but because I did make the game and I wanted to add more to the game, there have been plenty of ideas that kind of grew out of that first original concept. So that was the first game idea I had. So how about the first game I made? Now, before I talk about the first game I made, I need to tell you the engine it was built on. Have you ever heard of Scratch? It's this block-based coding website for kids, and when I started I knew basically as much as a rock on the side of the road would. So this is what I made. It's certainly something, but pretty much every aspect of it is incredibly janky. Including the code, including the art. I already said it was everything janky. But you know what they say? It's about the journey, not the destination. And I can tell you that I had a blast making this. It was a great time. But coming back to it, you can really feel how much that I've grown. Or at least I can. So after I made that thing, I continued to make more games and experiences, I guess would be the best way to call it, which you can find here. Yes, I know my username is bad, just bear with it. I made so much stuff on Scratch that I could actually make an entire video where I just play my own games. Although there's tons, and I mean tons, that I have not published. So if you visit, there's only like 50 or so games, whatevers. I probably won't continue to make anything on Scratch, so don't expect anything. In more recent times, however, I've started using Unity. I'm sure if you're watching this for the game making, you know what Unity is. It's a game engine, you make games on it. Simple as that. Personally, I've had the easiest time with Unity. All the coding and whatever makes the most sense to me. And I have tried other game engines. I've made a few test projects, prototypes, whatever you want to call them. I've just been experimenting with Unity overall. Various different games that are mostly trashed now. And I did what pretty much everyone does on their first go, which is try to make a 2D game. And let me tell you, 2D and 3D are basically the same thing, I'm just gonna be honest. The only thing that's different, personally, about 2D and 3D that I've been seeing is polygons and the ability to move forward and backward. Personally, 3D is like way easier than 2D for me, mostly because I get so much more freedom in space, because 2D games require like a lot of planning and building world design, that I just can't really do in that small, cramped, only 2 dimensions, you know. Now here is a game that I wanted to make before the one that I'm making currently. It was originally supposed to be like a randomly generated levels and randomly generated story, and there would be like biomes and stuff, NPCs, whatever. But it grew dull very fast for me. And it was mostly because I had trouble implementing new stuff into it, and I just kind of ran into a roadblock. So unfortunately, this project will not be continued. Alright, moving on. Cue the fanfare! Alright, stop it, that's enough fanfare. So firstly, let's talk about the basic fundamentals of my game. And by that, I just mean like story, genre, whatever. So let's start off by talking about the genre for my game. I want it to be kind of like a mix between open world, first person, action. Now I know that's kind of a lot, especially for someone who's starting out. So I'm just gonna like smudge all of that into just one idea: exploration. I don't really want it to veer into any other categories that are kind of similar to what I'm doing, or that are just easy to make, like a Metroidvania or like a roguelite, stuff like that. That's not what I'm aiming for. And I'm not aiming for a first-person game like Doom that's super heavy action, blow up, shoot stuff. I do think that exploration would be the best way to sum up what I want the game to be. Now, a game this ambitious needs a good name, right? So on the topic of exploration, I'm going to title this game Gadabout. It's a mixture of the words gadabout and locomote. Now the definition for gadabout would be someone who is constantly traveling in search of enjoyment. So basically like a person who goes on vacation all the time. Except in my game, it is not about vacation. And locomote means to move, especially under your own power. Now of course the title is always subject to change, but I really enjoy this title mostly because, well, 1, it's unique, and 2, it fits my story. Well, what's the story then, you might be asking? Well, I'm still creating the story, but currently I've got some of the essential pieces down. 1, it takes place in the future, society has crumbled and it's kinda semi-apocalyptic. 2, you play as a robot that I'm also calling the Gadabout because that makes sense. Here is my bad drawing of said robot. I'm by no means an artist. I tried out some action poses of him like, I don't know, charging to dash or something. Now I did kinda change the hands. In this first drawing, it looks sort of like a big glove. And in this drawing, I kinda refined it to be more like a big blocky hand. And the third part of the story is that it's gonna be taking place over 4 main areas, which I've also poorly drawn. The starting area is gonna be this city, and then from there, you'll be able to branch out into all the other locations. Like this desert that's full of tombs that you're gonna be raiding or something, I haven't decided. But it has tombs in it, and I want the player to be able to explore both the sand and the tombs. The desert's also in this kind of state of perpetual night, but just because it's night, I don't want to make the desert cold, so I'm just gonna say the desert's hot. And I'll leave it at that. We've also got this thing that probably isn't the easiest thing to understand just by looking at it. This is basically a forest with like a religious sort of temple. This one I haven't really thought too much about, but I really want the nature to stand out a lot in this one compared to the other ones. And then this last area is both the beach and the ocean. The water's not deadly, but whatever lives inside the water is extremely deadly. Now after your journey is all over, and you've explored all 4 areas, you get to unlock the final area. Well, as you can see, there's no 5th area here. Well, that's because I've titled the last area, The Nothing. Get it? I haven't drawn it. It's called The Nothing. Well, that was the story in its current state, and with that out of the way, let's switch gears and talk about the actual game along with some of the mechanics that I would like to add in the future. And here's the game. You can move, kinda sprint, you can definitely shoot, and you can climb ladders. Okay, I'll admit, it's not the prettiest, it's not polished, but this tiny little demo I made is by far 10 times better than everything else. It's fun for me to play, which is not really something that actually happens all that much, especially for something that I made in just a few days. It's pretty good. I can also easily adjust how the weapon works too using this script over here. I can switch it between kind of like a machine gun and I can make it like a shotgun. The ladders are also pretty decently involved. Of course, you're able to do all the basic ladder stuff, you know, going up and going down. That's just part of a ladder. But I've also added the ability to jump off a ladder. Now there is a bug with jumping off the ladder, but I'm just gonna slap the word feature onto it. I'm dubbing this glitch ladder boosting. It's essentially if you just hold down the grab button and spacebar, you can jump very high, especially when chaining off multiple ladders. And that's the basic game. Now let me discuss some of the features for the future that I want to add. Now the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most is the backpack. So what's the backpack? Well, I'm guessing you know a backpack is where you store all your stuff, right? So my backpack is the inventory system. But it's a lot more intricate than most inventory systems where you just click a button and you get your stuff straight out. When you're carrying an item, you pull out your backpack and then you just stuff your item straight into the backpack. And then when you need an item out of your backpack, you take out your backpack and you gotta reach into it, take stuff out. Now I'm thinking the backpack would also double as a shield. You can hold it out and you can get protected, but when it gets shot, all your stuff inside will get damaged and has the chance of being destroyed. So now it'll be the player's option of whether they want to live or if they want to keep all their precious goodies. Now I'm sure that not everyone will be too fond of this idea. So in case it's not your cup of tea, I'll be adding some accessibility features such as a simple inventory, where you'll just get all the stuff in your backpack and you can click on which one you want to bring out, as well as slowing down time when your backpack is out. Now the last thing I'm thinking about adding to the game is modifiers. Now in my game, modifiers are these little cubes that you can take your gun and jam them into. It'll change up the way that your bullets fire and interact with other stuff. I'll be diving deeper into these topics and fleshing out the story more in the next devlog. And before you go, think about joining my new Discord, where you can yell at me in addition to yelling at me in the comments for things you want me to add or just overall suggestions to improve my game. Just keep it calm, okay? Thanks for watching, I'm Zen, that was my game, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.